Let me jump to this next tweet here. We have from Kristi Noem, Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security. I cannot show you the video, my friends. It is a man calling for people to murder ICE agents. And Kristi Noem responds, if you threaten or attempt to harm a law enforcement officer, we will find you and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Should this guy be arrested? Because he literally says in the video to do it. He says, do this, do it. If they approach you, do it.
For sure. He's definitely inciting violence.
Telling people to attack, to kill law enforcement?
Yeah, that's pretty serious.
Yeah. And it's brazen in public. And he said because they're fascists, because they are masked individuals. And he says you have a right to do it. And you do not. But this is a degree of escalation. And I will say this, it's so intense. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't play the video for you here on YouTube.
No, it's too severe.
I believe it is a federal criminal offense, what he said. And
to be a federal, it would have offense. It would have to be proved that it would directly lead to actual attacks happening. Which is that the brand? What's the test?
It's imminent harm.
Imminent harm. So you'd have to prove imminent harm, and this is very similar to a lot of the stuff we had going on in the UK. A lot of people arrested for long periods of time. I mean, years. Some of them. Now, some of them were just racist memes and reposting racist memes and a bit of racism here and there. Disgusting things that were said, but clearly not incitement of violence. But then there's some people who were arrested for planning online, on using Facebook to plan where to do certain attacks on asylum hotels, and those people were arrested.
No, go ahead. Sorry. I don't know if you were done.
So you're saying that this seems to you to be like a felony, but yes. Wouldn't you have to prove that it would directly lead to an attack?
No, it turns out you don't have to do that, which is crazy, but based on precedent. Like, for example, Douglas Mackey was arrested and convicted for, what was it, like election interference or something?
That was fraud. That's different from threats of violence.
Right, but there was no evidence that the DOJ could provide that showed that the meme he posted impacted anybody to do the thing that the meme suggested.
In regards to violence, though, the imminent harm is the standard. And so that's why usually if you said something like, I think people should do this thing, isn't illegal. But if you say, at this time, go do this thing.
Right, like, isn't this incitement?
This, I believe, qualifies, as he says several times. Right when the video starts, he says, do it explicitly. And I can't play it because he's maybe in the uncensored portion, but I don't want to play with this video.
But he's referring to a specific place and a specific time. No. He's not. He's just saying.
So actually, this is where it gets interesting in law. If it's an imminent threat where you said, I want you to go to this place, Jim's Bar, go pick up one of these things and then use it to do this thing to that guy. You've got a person, you've got a place, you're directing them to do it. In this regard, he is saying, if ICE agents show up at your house or stop you anywhere, do this thing with this thing. He's saying to shoot them. He's explicitly saying, take a gun. If you see them, end their lives. That's what he's saying. I believe this qualifies as violating the law. And I'd be interested to see this. Democrats will absolutely defend him. If he got arrested for this, they'd say it's free speech.
They're defending Luigi Mangione.
Indeed.
He shot a man in cold blood. Likely.
Accused
likely.
Of. Yeah. I actually don't think he did it.
You don't think he did it?
Nope.
Okay.
Because the initial videos that were released, I'll say it every time, when that story first came out, we all looked at the surveillance footage and said, that looks like a middle-aged guy. You can tell by his hands, the top of the face that you can see. It looks like he's got older skin. Older folks, their skin doesn't move as well in the cold. You'll notice they do like the moisture test. You pinch the skin and pull it. You can see pressure points on his hands. I assumed when we first saw that it's going to be a guy who was like in his late 40s or 50s. Then they put up a picture of this other guy, said he was a person of interest, and he's wearing a different coat with different eyebrows and a different backpack. And everybody said, that's the guy. That's the guy. He's the suspect. And I said, guys, no. They're saying he's a person of interest. That could mean that he was maybe in the same building talking to the guy and they want to talk to him. Then all of a sudden, they find this Luigi Mangione guy in a McDonald's. Someone recognized him? How?
I'll add to that bit.
With an orgy of evidence.
I think I'm certainly with you in questioning whether he's really the guy, because if you look at how the kill was done, it's a really professional job. And then if you look at how he was caught, how can the same person who pulled off that unbelievable professional, looked like a hit job, then get caught by in the stupidest of ways at a McDonald's? It doesn't seem like
who would recognize the guy at McDonald's?
Yeah.
You know, look, from when people recognize me, and I'm sure you get the same thing, is they'll be like, you kind of look like some guy. They never come up, they're like, that's you. So
particularly, if you look at the actual image of what he had a mask pulled down to this, you're not going to recognize.
Didn't he have his manifesto in his bag?
And the weapon, and
I always carry my manifestos to McDonald's.
This is why people have said it was in the Minority Report reference, an orgy of evidence.
Yeah.
Meaning, you walk in the movie, Tom Cruise's character walks in the room and there's photos everywhere of his son who was kidnapped. When the inspector comes in, he goes, "No, I don't believe it." He's like, all of this is a stage. It's meant to look like a crime scene. Come on.
And have you seen the video of him when he's I think he's cuffed in a jumpsuit and he's shouting at the press?
Right.
It was really interesting to watch that again, because what he says is not what it's not what someone would say. I've unfortunately forgotten.
He said something like the American people being too stupid to believe it or something.
Exactly. It just, the way he said it didn't seem to be like the sort of thing an actual hitman would say then.
So maybe, I don't know, but in that regard, it could be a hitman got away with killing a CEO, and the government is like, we cannot have a story of a rogue hitman running around.
They have to pin it on somebody.
Why, have they never seen mafia movies? I mean, there's plenty of stories.
The American
Should
public
have taken the gun and let
the American public would panic, and it could disrupt the economy in many ways if people are scared to go outside because there's a hitman running around or a murderer.
Don't the American public already? No one would be surprised to learn there's hitmen in the public. Everyone knows there's hitmen.
Well, the belief among many Americans is that there probably are, but it's extremely rare and much harder than people think. It's usually just a sting operation. But, back to the main point, my concern here is if they don't arrest this guy, this is what I refer to as I didn't make this up. Someone chatted this to us, the ice bucket challenge of terrorism. But this guy made this video because he's like, I'm going to get 1 million views. And he is. The video from Kristi Noem, the posting of Kristi, 1.3 million. The post from Libs of TikTok probably has way more. It's got 2.4
That's
million.
right.
I'm not going to play that video. We're not going to listen to this guy. He says it twice. More than that, he keeps saying it over and over again. That's right. He says, that's right. Do it. Do it.
He's dressed. Didn't it say he was like a real estate agent? He's literally wearing like a real estate agent costume.
That's
calling for
scarier.
violence. Scott, that's what I'm saying. Calling for violence in like a vest should be probably the most egregious part of all of this.
When you have, let me go back in time. I remembered after 9/11, there were reports in the news that they feared terror attacks in small suburban towns. They said that the terror alert has gone up and the town that they're concerned about is this, insert small Ohio town. And I'm thinking like, why would they target the middle of nowhere? On the news, they were saying the terrorists want to target rural areas so that people in this country feel they cannot be safe anywhere. Most people think you stay out of the cities, you'll be all right.
Wow.
So with stuff like this and what he's saying, when it's a regular guy who's a real estate agent calling for the murder of federal agents, it's particularly worrying because it's basically saying to us, there is a normal liberal worldview circulating amongst regular workers to engage in lethal force against their enemies.
Yeah, there's another aspect of this which is curious to me, is that the ICE agents are the villains here. And this can only be in the eyes of the progressive globalists who don't like borders. But the ICE villains are trying to get rid of violent, murderous criminals to protect the borders. If you want a safe country, if you want a great America, you've got to have borders. And so it's curious to watch how villainized ICE agents are at this time.
Indeed. They're we had a liberal lawyer on who called them brown shirts. He said they're Gestapo, they're federal,
He believed that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what, does that guy believe in borders at all? Does
Nope.
he think that people should come? I mean,
well, they
haven't thought that worldview they haven't thought that worldview through to its full extent.
It's an interesting moral conundrum. Joe Biden says if someone enters the country, well, actually, let's go back earlier, 2020, during the presidential debates through 2019 and 2020, all of the Democrat candidates were asked, would you change crossing the border from a criminal charge to a civil charge? And they all raised their hand.
They all like that idea, yeah.
Literally, Joe Biden says, surge the border. They come to the border, they enter the country outside of an official port of entry, illegally, and then as soon as they see an agent, they say, asylum. And then he goes, you got us. Guess you can stay here forever now. They put all these people into the system, gave them court dates, and then quietly dismissed all their court dates, so they were de facto in the United States as second-class citizens. This is illegal.
This is what Chuck Schumer wants, though, so that we can have, depressed wages.
Right.
And
So when Donald Trump then says, we are going to arrest these people and kick them out, the left says Trump is arresting legal migrants. This is the conundrum over the language. So now you've got the issue of, but we need due process for these people who entered the country illegally through Biden's exploitation, and they're using it to empower their states. There is no reality where the actions taken by Donald Trump will ever be deemed legal, even if they're explicitly legal and under his constitutional authority, as many of these things are. Trump said, if you are transgender and exhibiting symptoms, you cannot serve in the military. However, if you are suffering gender dysphoria or transgender and you exhibit no symptoms, you're fine. A judge ruled, no, you can't do this. Everyone is created equal, and all means all. That literally means she just issued an injunction stating, as someone on Twitter pointed out, paraplegic schizophrenics can now enlist in the military.
Yeah, like gender dysphoria is in the DSM, yet a lot of people with bad eyesight can't get into the military.
Indeed, but now you can because of this injunction. It is absurd that the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, is barred from choosing who serves him. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So this is the point of where we're at in terms of what is legal and what's not legal.
With the border thing, and forgive me if I sound like a libtard for one moment, but is there an argument to be made that these coming across and claiming asylum, because Biden had allowed it, they were following by the laws at the time, and so they... No. Explain to me.
So in the United States, the president can issue executive orders. They're not laws, but he can direct executive agencies to behave in certain ways, which de facto can make or break laws. So if the United States Congress passes a bill saying, we are going to ban marijuana in every regard. I mean, they basically did, but like nothing. We're going to arrest literally everybody. Donald Trump could say, ignore it. Don't enforce it. He could instruct the AG not to prosecute. And so the law exists and should be enforced.
Right, okay.
But would that mean that people are
I see. So that's what happened. Okay,
basically,
yeah.
So because I got one for you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change your mind in 2 seconds. Joe Biden instructed CBP to transport children into sex slavery. Does that make it legal?
He did what?
No, that's for real happened. Yeah. Yeah. So what happened is...
Now let me ask you if you think a civil war is coming.
Yeah. What happened is Joe Biden said all accompanied minors can get across the border, no questions asked. And then that went to a judge, and the judge said, well, that has to apply to the families of minors as well. If you're doing it for unaccompanied minors, then their whole family needs to come in if that's what's going on. So you have literal human traffickers trafficking children across the border.
CBP knows the traffickers.
Yes.
The agents know for a fact children are coming across the border with traffickers, sex slavers, or by themselves. They have numbers written on their arms or hand.
Or they have those plastic bracelets.
Yep. That they know is for sex slavery of children. I'm talking 12-year-olds. And CBP, with smiles on their faces, transported those kids into sex slavery.
And what you have to do if the kid is coming across the border and they have somewhere to go, they tell the DHS what the address is, and the DHS just hands them off to HHS, and HHS sends them off to wherever that is. And the issue is that those addresses, in a lot of cases, aren't anywhere. They're like empty warehouses, or hundreds of people have the exact same address. These are not, these are not safe contacts. These are just like something to fill out the form to get the people in.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.